Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 186. Otis at Don Knight's Star. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by over at Weaver's. They've got some great new items. You can look for the new items link. If you scroll down toward the bottom of the page, you'll see a link right there. New items. They got t-shirts, all kinds of new stuff in there. So check it out at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. I want to thank you all for your support, and feel free to drop by the Two Chairs No Waiting website and give me a donation to keep the podcast going. And thanks to the Mayberry Band for their part of the show. It just wouldn't be the same without that opening music. I'm your host, Allan Newsome, and it is great to have you with me. Now, last week we talked on the podcast to tribute artist Ken Junkin, who does Otis Campbell. Otis, he's our Otis town drunk. We don't say it out like that usually, but he is our tribute artist for Otis Campbell, and sometimes, Big Maude is what we were talking about last week. And if you hadn't heard that, I definitely want you to go back and listen to episode number 185, and you'll be able to hear the great stuff that Ken had to tell about buying the shoes he wears when he does Big Maude. A great story. It's a awesome story, actually. I loved it. So, but this week we're going to hear a little bit more, because as we were talking that night, we were able to talk to Ken and hear him tell a story about when he went out to California. That's right. He went out to California to the Hollywood Walk of Fame back in January of 2000 to see Don Knotts get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And we discussed this and talked about that back in episode number 97 of Two Chairs No Waiting. And I definitely wanted to encourage you to go back and listen to that if you haven't, because the entire episode was devoted to Don Knotts getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And what I didn't know, well, what you'll hear as he's telling about it is about Ken being there, and a surprising fact that was given to me during that discussion. Now, we're going to hear from Ken first, and then we'll be back, and we're going to hear from Christy McLendon, who does Andylina. Yeah, Andylina, I'm sorry. I said it again, Andylina, because somebody else said that, Andylina. Andylina, Charlene's daughter. She does that part. And boy, she looks like Charlene, just like her ma. So let's go first and hear from Ken Junkin as he tells us about his experience down at the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And then we'll come back and hear from Christy about just a little thing that happened to her in Westminster, South Carolina, during the Mayberry event there held just a couple of weeks ago. So let's go hear from Ken.
And then we get to the Star the next morning. We're there at 7:30 on the street of Beverly Hills, and nobody's there, and we're concerned.
Giving away Don's star.
Star is there. We know where it's at. It has a petition over it, a barricade, and the Star has a film over it, like a putty, or to keep you knowing who it is. 9:30, nobody showed up, and what's going on here? About 10 o'clock, the Los Angeles city workers come dragging in to set a stage up. They take the back, and we said, "Can we help y'all with this?" And they said, "Sure, you can do it." They let us clean Don's star off, set the stage up, and of course they covered up with this real nice carpet and all this. And a crowd starts gathering around. And I've got a Don Knotts baseball cap on with his face, and it says Barney on the back. And this lady, mid-50s, comes up with her 25-year-old husband. I thought it was mom and son. And they start asking me all these questions about Don Knotts. I said, well, most of them are simple enough that I can answer. And the crowd starts coming. We're right here, we got a good thing. Well, Kevin gets tired. He's standing there, and he gets tired of these questions. They're kind of getting annoying. He goes back to the barricade and sits on it that's got the inside lane next to the sidewalk block for traffic. And this lady comes up, looks like a movie star, looks very attractive in a Mercedes 500 convertible. She pulls up next to Kevin. This is when Bill Clinton is in office, and says, "Who's getting a star today, Kevin?" "Monica Lewinsky." She's, what is this world coming to? He kept sweating at it. No, I'm kidding. So she left there in anger, thinking that Monica Lewinsky was getting a star on us. Well, anyway, we're waiting for Don Knotts to come. And now we're on Hollywood Boulevard, and this guy comes look like from Gordo, Alabama, a woodcutter or packer or stacker or something. He said, come up and patted me on the back. He said, are you Don Knotts? And I said, what? Are you Don Knotts? No. Well, they said you were. I said, who said I? The couple. I said, I'm not Don Knotts. I said, he's 25, 30 years older than me, and I weigh 200 pounds more than he does. What do you mean? And he left mad because I wasn't Don Knotts. I don't know. But Don got his star, and it was real. And when he got to the podium, attaboy, Luther!
That's you?
Yeah.
I heard that on
Yeah.
We've got an audio tape of that, and you can hear you.
Well,
I didn't know that was you. Yeah.
That was me.
I played it on the podcast.
Big time.
Attaboy, Luther.
Attaboy, Luther.
I'll be doggone.
Yeah.
I'd
And
go
John
back and listen to
Ritter
that again.
spoke, and Ronnie Shell, I think, was there, and Betty Lynn.
And Andy, of course.
Andy was there, yes. And Don, I think Karen was there, and his son.
Right. Tom.
And one of the girls from Three's Company, one of the later, I forget which one. It wasn't Suzanne Summer or Joyce DeWitt.
All right. So that was Ken Junkin back at Westminster, South Carolina. We were sitting around talking. Now, as he told you in that, which was the amazing part for me, was him talking about the fact that he was at the star ceremony. Now, as I mentioned, back in episode number 97 of Two Chairs, No Waiting, we talked about Don getting his star. And I recalled hearing somebody going, attaboy, Luther. Now, it happened twice. But if you go back and listen to that episode, at about 13 minutes and 46 seconds into that episode, you'll hear it. So let's listen to that real quick. And we're going to hear, not the whole thing, but this coming up, you're going to hear Johnny Grant, who is the unofficial mayor of Hollywood, California. He's unofficial because the city doesn't have a mayor of Hollywood. But you're going to hear Johnny introducing or talking about Don, introducing the fact that Don's getting his star. So let's go and hear that.
Now therefore be it resolved that by the adoption of this resolution, the City Council of the City of Los Angeles, along with the Mayor, hereby join Council Member Jackie Goldberg in congratulating Don Knotts on the dedication of this richly deserved honor, the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And that is from the city. As the ceremonial mayor of Hollywood, I hereby proclaim this Don Knotts Day in Hollywood.
Now listen for attaboy, Luther. So did you hear it? Attaboy, Luther. Now here's just the attaboy, Luther. So listen. That's Ken. That's Ken Junkin. Now there's another guy that yells it. It's clearer a little after that. So if you're listening to the episode 97, you'll hear it. But this is Ken. And I recognized it. Once he said that, he had said that, I said, I remember that. Anyway, so I thought that was a really cool story, and I hope you enjoy that. And definitely encourage you to go back and listen to the entire episode about the Don getting his star. And it's great that Ken was there, and Kevin Sneed is who he was talking about. Kevin runs Advantage Apparel. It's a great stuff. I do a website for him, but he runs that website, or runs that store, a clothing business. And just to see him telling the woman, you know, whose star is that? Monica Lewinsky. And the woman getting mad. That's pretty funny. All right. So while we were at Westminster, now this is a short little story that Christy told while we were sitting around talking in the lobby of the Best Western following the day's events at Westminster, South Carolina back on the 20th and 21st of April in 2012. A great event. It was the second annual Mayberry Comes to Westminster. There's links to see pictures and stuff. If you go to the podcast website, you'll see them there. But this is a great little story that Christy had to tell. So let's go ahead and hear from Christy.
a lady came up to me with a little boy of about 9 and said, "Tell her what you're going to say." And I looked at him, and he's looking at the floor, and he won't look at me, you know. And I said, she said, "He played Ernest T. Bass for Halloween. Tell her, tell her." I said, "You going to throw a rock at me?" He shook his head. He said, I said, "You going to sing me a song?" He said, "No." He looked up at me. He said, "I'm going to charm and woo you with my way."
Jacob said that?
No, it was some little random person.
Oh, really?
The boy was about maybe 7, 8
Oh,
years
that's
old,
cute.
but he just looked up. "I'm going to charm and woo you with my
That's
way."
awesome. So that is Christy McLendon, and she's telling about the little boy. Now, Christy, as I said, plays Andylina, and that's, if you'll remember, back on the Andy Griffith show, Opie, they tried to betroth Opie, or Andylina, to Opie. Remember that? And it would have all gone through, too, if it wasn't for the little bit of witchery on Andy's side of the family. But Christy plays Andylina, who's Charlene's daughter. And she does a great job, and it's really hard for me not to call her Charlene because she looks just like her ma. And she's a very sweet lady and does a great job as Andylina. And it's great to have her as a lady tribute artist. We don't have very many. We have her and basically Thelma Lou that Elise Felker's been doing with us, and some Aunt B's, and that's about it. We don't have any other ladies, no Helens, and we just don't have them. But or Miss Ellie's. But anyway, we have a great time at these events, and I hope you guys enjoy just hearing some of these stories. And I'm just so glad that they took time to spend with me this past event to share with you. So, folks, I'd love to hear from you about meeting maybe some of the tribute artists or cast members or whatever it was that you might have heard. I'd love to hear from you. If you'll call me at 888-684-8415, it'd be great to hear from you. You can also email me at floyd@imayberry.com. You can drop by the Two Chairs No Waiting website, and you can let me hear from you there too, because we've got all kinds of ways there to get in touch with us. Or you can head over to the iMayberry community. Try to get in touch with me there. Great place to visit if you're not visiting there. And finally, as I said, you can head over to the Two Chairs No Waiting Facebook page at facebook.com/2chairs. Any of those ways will be great for you to get in touch with us. Till next week, guys. We'll see you then on Two Chairs No Waiting. Bye.